Space, the final frontier. With all the missions to Mars and talk of colonization, we decided that we were going to go ahead and talk about space. And with me to talk about space is our senior space correspondent, the Notorious DLC.
Yeah, can I get a mocha frappuccino grande, extra foam?
Hello, DLC. Are we coming through here?
Yeah, to go, obviously.
DLC, can you hear us, sir?
Talsin, hello, Talsin. Oh, ma'am, please. Yes, Talsin, I'm here.
DLC, hi. How are you, sir?
Oh, well, I've been better. Things are not exactly going my way here. Karen.
DLC, I'm seeing a little something in the background there. Where exactly are you?
Talsin, I'm at Starbucks. And let me just tell you, it is a pain to get a mocha frap on the moon.
Wait. You're on the moon?
Yes, but more importantly, if Karen knew how to do her job, maybe we could get this going.
Okay, DLC, how did you get to the moon?
Oh, we go there all the time. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from the space station. The International Space Station. You know, Talsin, you're familiar with the International Space Station, correct?
Yes. You're telling me that you were on the International Space Station?
Well, yeah, but, on Tuesdays we come here to the Starbucks.
Okay, DLC, just to let you know, we said we were going to do a story about space. We don't have the budget to send you to space.
Well, I think that's okay. I mean, I really wouldn't worry about it. They think I'm some sort of Russian spy, so they're kind of letting it go. It's a whole thing. But basically, the gist of it is that I snuck onto one of the Falcon X ships, and now I'm here in space, and I've got this cool jacket, which kind of makes them think that I'm legit. And then every now and again, I say something Russian like "What good?" and they all laugh, and they're fine.
Okay. I see that they let you take your chair up there. That's impressive.
That's true. Well, I mean, I had to strap myself in. I don't know if you know, but those rockets pull a lot of G's. And while I am a certified G and a bona fide stud, I actually needed to make sure that I was going to be able to maintain my composure on the long flight to the space station.
The long flight with the takeoff where you have a chair with wheels.
That's correct. Well, I mean, seatbelts are magic. Talsin, they employ them in multiple vehicles. I figured that you would know this, being an Earth-based individual at this point.
Yes, that is correct. I still am here on the Earth, but
that's correct, Talsin, and I am what we call a rocket man.
A rocket man.
Yep, burning out his fuel out here alone.
With Karen.
Well, not with Karen. I mean, if I were with Karen, maybe she'd make mocha frap a little faster.
Okay, well, this is quite an interesting opportunity, DLC. Could you tell us a little bit about the moon? I mean, you said that you're on the moon right now.
That's correct.
At a Starbucks.
That's correct. Yeah, the Starbucks, I mean, I had to come to this side. The west side Starbucks has even worse service. You wouldn't even believe it.
So there's a second Starbucks.
Oh, they're on every corner. They're on every corner, Talsin. They're I mean, literally, it's like 4 corners with 4 Starbucks. But they've got nothing on the Barnes and Noble. I mean, that joint is off the hook. So, it's a fun little day trip back and forth, but it's not really anything to write home about. I guess mostly because if I were to write a physical letter, I would have no way to get it back to Earth because I'm in space.
You could always throw it out an airlock, or.
Talsin, I think that seems to be a little unrealistic. We all know that it would burn up in re-entry. Come on.
What was I thinking? I mean, we're talking about, sending a letter home from space. Yes. So.
No, Karen, I don't want sprinkles. Did I say anything about sprinkles? I'm just going to leave. Like, at this point, I've already paid. I'm just going to go. Continue, Talsin. I assume you have more questions about space. I'm more than happy to answer them.
Are you saying that there's an actual colony up on the moon right now? I mean, you're
Well,
not talking about the International Space Station. You're talking about the moon.
Well, Talsin, it's been about 17 years in the making, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, and I'm not really supposed to say anything about it, but I figured I'd mention it anyways because our brave heroes really do need to be remembered. But the film, I don't know if you remember the film from the year 2000, Space Cowboys, with Clint
Yes,
Eastwood,
Clint
Donald
Eastwood.
Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones,
And that other guy.
the other one that I can't remember. Talsin, suffice to say that was not that was not a work of fiction. That was actually a documentary film.
So you're telling me that Space Cowboys, the movie that starred Kiefer Sutherland,
no,
or Donald Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland
Sorry,
was not in that.
Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland. Yeah, that's two totally
Clint
different
Eastwood.
people. Yeah.
Yes, one is the father of the other,
Right, I believe
and
that's
the
correct.
other one was in 24.
No, I believe it was 48 Hours.
Oh yeah, the one with what's his name?
Bernie Mac.
Yes, yeah, Bernie Mac. Yeah, that was the
Seen
one.
it.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
great one.
Just like Mr. 3000. Good movie. Excellent movie.
Wasn't
You
that
ever
the one
seen
with Eddie
it?
Murphy in it?
The baseball and let's not get confused. I think the important thing is, again, to focus on the fact that these brave men came up to the moon, and contrary, of course, the film, it's Hollywood, right? They got to change the ending of the story to make it more Hollywood-esque. So, of course, unfortunately, poor what's his
Tommy Lee
face gets
Jones.
left on the moon. Is that right? Is that Tommy Lee Jones? I can't.
It was Tommy Lee Jones.
Hey, listen, the fiction of the thing has kind of been lost on me because I've been so into the fact now that I'm actually here in space, unlike you. I think it's again important to know that they really did come to the moon. They actually made it here, and they set up the first Barnes and Noble on the moon. The
first
four
one.
men.
Are you saying that there's more than one?
Well, again, as I mentioned, there's a west side and an east side, and the west side, the west side service isn't all that great, pretty much in general. But I think it's just because the people on the west side are more interested in reviving the old Borders brand. I mean, I know they're out of they're out of business on Earth, but on the moon there are no laws. So really, regardless of things like bankruptcy, brands can flourish.
So you
we
have Space Borders up on the moon.
We do. But their selection's not as good. I mean, they're always been focused more on additional attractions such as toys, trinkets, a lot of self-help books. Wouldn't think that people who actually are intelligent and smart enough to make it up here would really need self-help, but I guess they do.
About how many people are in this moon colony that you're discussing?
8. There are 8.
So there are 8, and I'm
yes,
assuming 4 live on the west side and 4 live on the east side.
No, that would be silly. They actually live on both sides. They migrate back and forth. It's part of the intercity exchange program set up by the west and the east side, kind of to mingle together. So they sort of trade off. Is basically what I'm saying. So it's kind of a 4-and-4 situation, and then when the clock goes off, that's when they change.
Okay, so now in this colony on the moon, what kind of differences are you seeing as opposed to here on Earth?
Well, of course, there's no breathable oxygen here on the moon, so
That must
often
make it difficult.
it is true. It is rather difficult. So locations like this Starbucks with the great service will also sell things like oxygen. In fact, coming in here, you usually have to pay an oxygen tax really to continue to consume the Starbucks oxygen. It's a little bit more expensive than other coffee shops' oxygen. I think we all know why. But in general, it's nothing that you would really imagine to be very different from how you might think a moon base would work, other than the fact that we're in constant communication with our close galactic neighbors from the TRAPPIST system. So I think really you're really gonna see a
DLC,
yes.
let me stop you there for a second. In communication with the TRAPPIST system?
Oh yes, absolutely. I don't know if you was I. Am I allowed to say that?
The TRAPPIST system, where we just discovered the 7 planets that are orbiting the dwarf star.
That's correct, Talsin. Yes, we are in communication with them, their people, the TRAPPIST system, also known as Trappisters. We are in communication with those individuals, and they like our shopping sense. In fact, they're some of the most staunch supporters of revitalizing the space borders, I think.
This is groundbreaking news. I mean, no one on Earth has been told that there was intelligent life out in the TRAPPIST system.
Well, I think it's
I mean,
again
DLC,
important to
are we
know.
allowed to broadcast this right now?
Well, I may be shot later. That could be part of the Russian spy thing. It could be part of the releasing groundbreaking global news sort of thing. But it's either here or there. Right now, I'm just mostly focused on this Starbucks. But the important thing, again, to know is that this is not news really to most of the community. In fact, one of them has been living amongst us for years. I'm sure you're familiar with Mr. Elon Musk. He is, in fact, from the TRAPPIST system and also the future. So I guess that kind of explains a lot with this whole Tesla scenario.
Wait, I thought he was from South Africa. Are you saying he's a TRAPPIST?
He's a Trappisser. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Yes, and he is. He settled in South Africa as a young human boy, but a 4,800,000-year-old Trappisser. You know, they have an incredible lifespan, 4,800,000. And you'll have to excuse me. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense as a number because, you know, normally we wouldn't say it like that. But that's, you know, their numerical system's different than ours. It's one of those cultural exchange things. And again, I'd thank you to be really sensitive about that. They kind of are too. But yeah, he again has come from the future of the TRAPPIST system, indeed, to kind of elevate Earth to the next century or two, and really boost us into space further, which again is where I am and you are not.
Yes, you've made that quite clear that you are up in space, on the moon, in a moon Starbucks.
That's correct.
With apparently a barista named Karen.
Yeah, listen, Karen's kind of a, you know what I'm saying?
But go on.
You know, she's cute though. I might get her number. I don't know. There's only like 8 numbers on the moon, so I guess I could just dial them all until she answers. But that kind of makes me seem pretty creepy because I'm pretty sure Brett's gonna be upset. So I'm not really gonna do that. You know, and I also, they have such weird sleep cycles, these Trappisters. You know, if I were to wake up, then I feel like he would probably be really upset.
I would imagine so. So now, these Trappisters, do they speak our language, or is there another language that we have to learn to communicate with them?
Oh no, they're incredibly intelligent. They speak our language. They speak every language, really. And I'd like to thank you again. For cultural borders, I think you should know there's more than one language on Earth. But you know, English the most important. I think, again, we have to be sensitive to them because, of course, we need to learn their language. And that's why, you know, commonly known as Carl, I could contact my friend Carl. Again, that's how he wants us to refer to him. But I prefer to get really into their vernacular. So every time I do happen to call his house, his number is 4, by the way. Don't tell everyone I said that. But when I call him, I'm always like, hey, man, what's going on? And he's, you know, he's on board. Whatever we got to do, we're going to shoot some hoops. We're going to just basically jump around on the moon, having some moon fun. Sometimes we play ping pong in zero gravity on the space station. They're really into ping pong. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know anything about ping pong, but it turns out space ping pong is really just.
I would imagine
it's
with
really
lower
hard.
gravity, it's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, because once that ball gets winging, I mean, unless you catch it, it's just going forever. I mean, you could literally hit a ping pong ball into the sun if you aimed good enough. So it's been a pretty interesting experience. Again, I've had an excellent bonding situation here with, and I think we're gonna be long friends, good friends for a long time.
Well, that's great to hear. Now, is there anything else culturally about these Trapisters that you think that the American public want to know or need to know?
Well, I think, and good evening, America. Hey, how you doing? Can you send me a different barista? Because Karen, um, I think it's important that American people understand that the Trapisters are really not a whole lot different than us, other than the four arms, and they've got this.
Forearms.
Yeah, no, and I'm not, I'm not speaking of, four arm. I mean, like literally, there are four of them. Um, and they're kind of in weird, precarious scenarios where you've got two here, just like a human, and then the other two kind of reach over the top, to do things like wiping their
Over. Yeah.
brow and
Okay.
yeah, exactly, to sort of assist them in reaching high objects. Those arms are actually really strong too. So if you ever need a jar opened, some peanut butters get kind of stuck in there. Get a jar of GIF peanut butter, and you can just have them open it for you, and that's not going to be a problem.
You mean gift peanut butter, right?
Yeah, GIF peanut butter. They're incredibly powerful, incredibly intelligent. They're a little shy. Again, that's why it's important to really get down on their level to learn their names. That was the first thing I did with. I learned his name like right off the bat. I just wanted to make sure that he felt comfortable and safe in my loving embrace. But more importantly, I think it's a tough gig for them coming to Earth, because of course they only breathe argon gas.
Well, that would make it really difficult.
It is. So they're constantly, I mean, they're basically just in scuba gear. So if you can imagine, that's more or less what they're doing, is they have to, continually feed argon gas into their bloodstream, or they'll die.
With the flippers too, or just the tank?
Well, Talsin, the flippers would be silly. They have feet. Granted, it's two on each leg, and they're kind of, again, precariously placed. One sort of at the earth level kneecap, and the other one sort of down toward the bottom. It's again important that we strive to accept them for what they are. Introduce them to our favorite things, such as Foot Locker, such as Dick's Sporting Goods. Indeed. Well, and that's the thing. Again, super into ping pong, so they're going to need a sporting goods store that they can rely on. They're going to need some new shoes. Again, I know, we talk about this colony up here, but really the Moon Strip Mall is not doing so great as far as the sports gear goes. So we really want to make sure that we get them in touch with the right people, and I think, again, that'll help them feel a lot more welcome amongst the Earthers, as you are, and I currently am not.
Right. You're more of a mooner right now.
That's correct. Again, a rocket man, but yes, go ahead.
Oh, you would be a rocket man if you were back on the International Space Station.
Well,
but if you're
six in one hand, half dozen in the other, 3 plus 3 in the third hand, and 9 minus 3 in the fourth hand. It's all really the same up here, because basically I'm on a floating celestial body, and you are down there in the dirty dirt.
On the planet Earth, orbiting the sun.
Yes.
On a celestial body.
Well, you're really mincing your words here, but I digress. Speaking again of the Trapisters, I think one thing we ought to really know about them, again, with the argon gas, the four arms, the shyness. I think it's also important, and this is going to be kind of a touchy subject, but you probably don't want to mention their body odor so much. It's sort of a badge of pride amongst them, but myself and the other 7 humans that are up here are kind of like, ugh, it's a little gross. So we try to avoid the subject, but we have very, very, very quickly created an outlet store based around brands of deodorant. Again, there are no laws on the moon, so we've kind of just made stores for whatever it is we might need.
Well, what other kind of stores
are
up there in this outlet mall on the moon?
Well, I don't want to give too much away. I want it to be kind of a surprise for when you dirty ground lovers like you come up here. But it's important to know that we do have lots and lots of Starbucks. Like I mentioned, we've got the Borders, the Barnes and Noble.
One on the east side, one on the west side.
It's correct. The Books A Million, the half-price books. They're super into books. It's a whole thing. But we do have a really good Chinese restaurant. That's worth I think writing home about. And again, the deodorant store. We also have a banana store. I'm not sure what that was all about. That could be because of Chimpo. But
Chimpo?
We have Chimpo. Yeah, the orangutan. I'm not sure if you
have an orangutan up there.
Well, yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember if you remember the last the last conversation that you and I have had as specialists. But again, the orangutans freed from the from the prison system to live long and happy lives.
Yes,
that's correct. Yeah, he actually entered the space program and is now a celebrated astronaut, an astroneer, if one might say. Although it's really early to say whether or not he'll be a successful astroneer, or whether or not he needs a lot more work and maybe some more things to do, and possibly some sort of end game to prove whether or not he'll truly be successful in astroneer. But I think Chimpo would really appreciate we look at him kindly as one of us, and that's why we started that banana store, to really make him more comfortable. We didn't know.
The main question is that can he barista?
That's a good question. He's been looking for something to do, and I mean, let's face it, Karen needs to get her act together. Karen, it's been like 20 minutes, still no frap.
Well, DLC, this has been really incredible information. I mean, you've talked about the Trapissers, you've talked about first contact with an alien race, and then you've talked about a colony on the moon, a moon base, if you will. Now, would it be considered a moon base, or is it more of a moon colony at this point?
It's really a moon base, the Alpha Moon Base, really, if you want to consider that, or Moon Base Alpha. I feel maybe might be a little bit more appropriate of a name.
Because it's the first one, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's correct. And the cheers of John Madden are just down the halls. Everybody up here is a big football fan, but it's just John Madden, John Madden, John Madden, John Madden, basically all day. But yeah, it's been a blast, literally, because I have had a rocket strapped effectively to my ass and sent me to the moon via the space station, which is a lot roomier than you might think. The double beds get kind of in the way. I thought there was some sort of like hanging apparatus, but instead they are actually just basically large double beds. They just kind of float there and rotate in space. That's a whole seatbelt situation. Again, seatbelt's key to this particular mission. But it's been really enlightening being up here, learning all about space, learning about how you can just take your helmet off and just breathe in that salty space air.
Wait, salty space air? Are you saying that there's oxygen in space?
Oh, it's everywhere. Don't let them fool you. They talk about taking your mask off and, oh, my face froze solid. I'm looking at you, brave astronaut Tim Robbins. Rest in peace on your mission to Mars. It just doesn't happen that way. You could just breathe it in for a while. You catch that solar wave, and the sun really splashes on your face, might burn you a little bit because it is several thousand degrees. So you just have to be kind of careful to watch out for that. But
maybe
yeah,
use
it's just
a little
really,
bit of SPF.
That's absolutely correct. Turns out the banana store also popular for that. They sell a lot of banana boat products. It's seemingly unrelated, but they have a sunscreen. I'm not sure if you knew that.
Republic at one time.
It maybe, possibly. Although I'd caution you, maybe we don't want to get into the whole space politics thing. We're kind of still hashing out the whole treaty with the moon and Earth, trying to figure out how that's all going to work out. But basically, what we've come to the conclusion is, the 8 people up here, Chimpo, and I think all of us together stand a really good chance of becoming America's next state. the 58th state. And I
58.
think
DLC, there's only 50 right now.
well, that's what our government would like you to believe. They're let's face it. Being a pretend Russian spy, I've learned a few things, and there are a couple of states that you guys just aren't really aware of yet. So, hang tight. That stuff's coming. Probably some sort of press conference or something shortly after this, because I imagine that with this going up, that there's a lot that our American public is going to have to talk about, and I might die, so that's been kind of a realization. It's been a little sad though, because I still have yet to receive my coffee situation, Karen.
Well, okay, DLC,
Sorry.
thank you so much for joining us and giving us all this valuable information. Are there any parting words that you'd like to express to the American populace?
Well, to the American populace, again, I'd like you to keep in your hearts and minds those brave heroes from the 2000 hit film Space Cowboys. Again, they died for you. Granted, I know that you've seen them in public. You may have seen Tommy Lee Jones clapping exuberantly at one of the Academy Awards, and I would like to thank the Guild of Professional Impersonators for taking up the slack on that and kind of keeping this on the down low. So again, I'd like to keep them in your hearts and minds so that we can have a better tomorrow and possibly some sort of additional book establishment, maybe a Joseph Beth Booksellers, something along those lines. Several half-price books would be nice. Some kind of book nook, maybe even a library. Anyways, I digress. Please do keep them in your hearts and minds. Say a tiny prayer for them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it as they trek towards their inevitable descent into the sun. But I'd also like to say to Mr. Elon Musk, the only Trapisser I'm aware of that's living with the American public, I would like to extend a hearty to you, and hopefully soon you will join us here on the moon with your awesome space roller coaster that I'm told is coming soon.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. TDS News. Have a wonderful night.